So there are things we needlessly make complicated. T-SQL Stored Procedure is one of them. Today we will learn how to say no to complications, and we'll make it simple once and for all. What is a stored procedure in T-SQL? Don't try to make it complicated. Don't ask ChatGPT, don't ask Google, just memorize this. A solution that ensures code reusability. What is code reusability? Let's say you write a block of code, something what we have written yesterday. You write that very simple code, but this time you have to use that code again and again. What do? Do you go ahead and create the code again and again? No, you don't go ahead and create the code again and again. You simply call the code block that you created yesterday and you keep on using it. And for that, we need a system in place and we call it stored procedure. This is a system. This is a place that holds the code that we will be reusing again and again. Hope this makes sense. Now, this is a template. It is a very simple template of stored procedure. With the create stored procedure, we start creating the stored procedure. For example, we want to use this code block again and again, right? What's the code block? It is select all from table where ID equals to one of the parameter that we want to make dynamic, right? We want to keep on reusing and recalling this code block for different IDs. For that, we create a stored procedure. We give the stored procedure a name. We assign a parameter to it. This is the parameter where the value will be changing. Every time we call this stored procedure, we'll be reassigning the value here. And then we create this code block. This is the repeatable, reusable code block, right? How do you call this code block? We simply write exec, which is the short form for execute, and then we give the name of the stored procedure, and then we give in the parameter. This parameter is basically the ID. So, and instead of saying equals to 1 to 5, we simply say equals to ID param1 here. And that makes it reusable. All right, let's go to our code editor, and which is the SSMS, and let's see how we can use it for the code that we have written yesterday. There's our code editor. Let's bring back the code that we have written yesterday. This was my code yesterday. If we run this code, it says whether a particular value is divisible by 3 or 5, right? But all we want to do is we want to do something like exec nested if, let's say whether it's divisible or not divisible, and then we want to give it a number. So we want to create a stored procedure with this name. We just want to be able to do this and get a response like this. I'm not going to go ahead and explain this code because this is the code that we have created in another video, which says nested if. So if you want to really learn it, I'm going to pop that in somewhere in the screen, so you can have a look at that here from those videos. So we're interested in creating a new stored procedure. Let's start with creating the stored procedure. Create proc. I'm going to give it a name. And this is going to be the name. This time, we want to give it a parameter. And this parameter is going to be our variable. You see the variable, it keeps on changing. So we're going to give it here so that we don't have to go ahead and keep changing it every time. As get the code from here. This code block has been created. We will execute it. See, we have successfully executed our stored procedure. What we simply did was we had a code block which is sort of like a nested if, and we have the explanation of this nested if in another video. I'm going to pop the video somewhere here on the screen. We want to recall this code block, and instead of manually calling and changing and coming back here and changing every time our variable, we want to just be able to call this and get the result. See, 15 is divisible by 5 and 3. It gives us the result. Why? Because we have already created the stored procedure. Last time we did not, but now that we have a stored procedure in place, it gives us the result, right? So why and how do you know it is true and it's working? It says 5 and 3. If we go back to our stored procedure, what does it say? It is divisible by 5 and 3. We have given 15, so we want to check if 15 is divisible by 5. If it is yes, we go into the true code block. It says yes, 15 is also divisible by 3. We say divisible by 5 and 3, and then we end it. Because it's not false, we have met all the conditions here and also here. We do not go into the false code block of our first if. All right? Hope this explains. Now we want to double check if this stored procedure really exists in our database. And we've created this stored procedure where we've created it in the master, right? So we go to database, we go to programmability, and we go to the stored procedure. Here we need to see something like this. So that's how you literally create a stored procedure. Now you can also run it if you want to from here directly. Try to follow what I'm doing here. If we give 15, click OK, it gives us a result and it returns nothing because we are literally returning no select statement. We're not selecting any tables from any column. So this, see the results button over here shows a table icon, right? And this window would only contain the tables that you are trying to snatch or catch. But that's not what we're trying to do here. We are trying to print a message with a print command. That's why we see the print command here, divisible by 5 and 3, because 15 is divisible by 5 and 3. But we've got a problem, and that's if we execute 20, click OK, and if you go to the message window, yep, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't return you any message, nothing, no print, nothing, not even a table. It returns nothing to you. Why? Because if you look at our stored procedure, but the question is, how do you look at our stored procedure? To be able to look at our stored procedure, we use something, and that's called create to. Here's a quick way of viewing what our stored procedure has in the code block. So if you go over here, we see if our variable is divisible by 5, we go into this true section or true code block, right? So our variable here is 20, which is divisible by 5. But when we go into the true code block, because this condition meets, when we go into the true code block, the first one is always going to be the true code block. The second one after else is going to be the false code block if this condition is not met. Because we made this condition, our variable 20 is divisible by 5. We are here now. But this condition doesn't meet. It does not meet the condition. Our 20 is not divisible completely by 3. So what does it do? Does it do anything? No. We haven't specified a false code block if this condition is not true. We have the code block for this condition being true. So if this condition is true, we have a code block. If this condition is true, let's say in the specific case of 12, this is divisible by 3. No, let's say in the specific case of 15, it is divisible by 5. It is also divisible by 3. So what happens is you come over here and you say divisible by 5 and 3. But in the case of 20, it is divisible by 5 only. And then you go into the true code block, but it is not divisible by 3. What we do now? We have to give a else code block, which is the false code block here. And in here we say divisible by, what do we say? Divisible by 5 only. Because this is only divisible by 5. Because the first condition was true, but the second wasn't true. So we have to come out of this loop. We have to print something to be able to come out of this loop and specifically state a reason why we are coming out of this loop. And we have to print something, right? So that's what we're doing. But now the problem is, if we try to run this code, it will give us an error. Why? Because these already exist. See, there is already a stored procedure with the same name. We cannot simply just go ahead and create a new one with the same name. We either have to alter the code, or we'll have to give it alter the name, either alter the stored procedure entirely. We have to give it a different name, maybe, or we have to drop it and then create a new one, or we can do something what we call alter. We can alter it, and if you click OK, we have successfully altered stored procedure. I don't know why I keep on saying code again and again. If you go to the execute stored procedure, if we now give value 20, it should say divisible by 5 on the last time it did not, but this time it does say that. So yeah, that's how you create stored procedure.